pretty much you're just taking all your little action figures from when you were a kid and just bashing them together, and that's the game. That's what we're doing here. I'm Will Roget. I'm the principal music composer of Mortal Kombat 11 and the composer of Call of Duty World War II, Lara Croft in the Temple of Osiris, and Star Wars Vader Immortal. I grew up and I had more of like a classical piano education. I started playing when I was like 4 or something like that. And I really didn't play video games as a young child, actually. I had older parents and they're like, what is this video game? So like, didn't really happen. It wasn't until middle school, I think 7th grade, when I was at a friend's birthday party and I played Mortal Kombat actually for the first time. It was in an arcade and I thought it was incredible. I mean, it was this digitized sprites, right? So it was real people doing all of these actions and the martial arts, and everything about the music was amazing in this original MK arcade game. Everything about it was super cool. And I eventually played Final Fantasy VII. It basically changed everything. It basically told me, forget about all this piano stuff. You're bored anyway. You need to be writing music, writing original music for games. And that I immediately started. I did this all throughout high school, and then I went to college. I had a music degree, Yale University, joined more organizations, and eventually I was hired at LucasArts to be a music assistant. That kind of grew into me writing original music. As the story goes, I overheard that we were looking for a 5th composer for Star Wars: The Old Republic. I just thought, well, I'm right here. You're already paying me. You don't have to pay me anything extra. Why not Zoidberg? So that very night, after overhearing that, I ran home, wrote a demo piece, brought it in the next day. I kind of forced them to listen to it. And long story short, I ended up writing about an hour of music for that game. Yeah, I mean, I think on Call of Duty, it was a very different situation. I think you can look at these 2 games in terms of realism and see exactly why in one of the games the gloves came off, but in the other it was like, you should probably keep your gloves on. Call of Duty is a game that's set in a historical past. Whereas in Mortal Kombat, it was more like the exact opposite, where yes, we have modern and we have traditional. We have a lot of synthesizers, a lot of world instruments, a lot of very modern kind of elements, but also this gargantuan orchestra and huge choir and all that. And it was just like, put it all in, just dial it up, anything goes. Pretty much you're just taking all your little action figures from when you were a kid and just bashing them together, and that's the game. That's what we're doing here. So the whole concept of restraint doesn't really make sense in this context. All right, I'm going to admit something just right off the bat. When game composers write music for games, most of the time, like 90% of the time, we don't use real titles. In fact, everything I wrote for MK is just a series of numbers. It's just like 069-073. I don't know. We usually just like add the titles later when we're doing like a soundtrack release. So I'm not even sure I could tell you if I'm being completely honest. I really enjoyed writing for the flashback scene though. There's this one scene where Raiden realizes that he's been, I mean, spoilers, I guess, but he's been set up by Kronika to come into conflict with Liu Kang over and over again in different timelines. That was one of my favorites. I loved writing a love theme for Kotal and Jade, because who would have ever thought that you're going to get to write a love theme in Mortal Kombat? But it was fun. And in fact, I remember I wrote something that was like halfway there, but a little bit more restrained. The audio director and the cinematics director gave me the feedback. They're like, this is a love scene, write a love theme. Just go for it. Don't worry about restraining yourself. Just dial it to 11. And so I did. And then, of course, I had a great time writing the more emotional moments like, Sonya and Cassie and Johnny Cage at the beginning. And I mean, there was just so many great cinematic moments in this game that I really, really loved working on. The short answer is an Excel spreadsheet. So it got to a point where I had so many character themes. I mean, pretty much every character that shows up in the story, or if it's like someone too minor than maybe their faction or whatever, they all have some kind of a calling card, which I used to describe the character. And it was also very useful for like identifying what realm they're in, because the Earth realm has a different sound than Outworld and Netherrealm. They all kind of sound different. It also helped me to develop themes over the course of the game, like Kitana, for instance. She's a very dynamic character. And so I actually have a couple different iterations of Kitana's theme that start off kind of timid and minor key and sort of they fit in the orchestra, and it's almost like she's just doing what she's been told or whatever. But then as the game goes on, she becomes more bold and she takes the lead, and eventually she becomes Kitana Khan. And so as that's happening, the theme gets more bold and it makes bigger statements, and it goes from just like 5 notes on the viola section at the beginning to finally it's just big rock guitars and full orchestra and like the Slavic choir in the background and all that. Having these themes that I could use as my kind of bookmarks to make sure that the whole score is sort of tightly knit was absolutely crucial in dealing with this gigantic. I mean, it really felt like scoring an entire movie trilogy just all at once.